hello there. We're you caught us in mid conversation there, but anyway, welcome to the today's podcast. Now, the thing is, I've been trying not to talk about Trump or tariffs or anything to begin with T, to be honest. But I find that because yesterday we had the big announcement that there was this massive trade deal between the US and China, then I thought I unfortunately I feel I have to say something. So anyway, the skinny of it is that both sides cut 115 percentage points off the tariffs that were there, right? And so, for instance, for China going into America, that was 145 down to 10. Is that right? No, hold on.
Up to 30.
No, is it right? Down to 30. Sorry, I was getting the other line. 100. Yeah, down to 30. And then the other way around. So that was 125 down to 10. Is that right? Yeah. Okay.
There we go.
Sorry. So I just yeah. So anyway, so that's the so everyone was overjoyed with that. Markets reacted well. The dollar strengthened. So all good. All there apparently. And it just felt to me like it's still that there's still a lot of detail. It is a 90-day reprieve, so it's not set in stone. The other thing as well is that it's Trump, so it's definitely not set in stone. So it's. I think people are getting a bit overexcited about it. Is my opinion at the moment. What it does do, however, is it does give like a window whereby maybe some importers have missed or have hoped that there was going to be some sort of deal, built stuff up, and then in expectation that they can bring it all over, so that will give them a bit of a buffer. So I think it's good from that perspective, but ultimately it's still not it's still, like I say, it's still not concrete. It's still not we still don't know whether that's it. There's a line drawn under it, and that's what it's going to be for the rest of Trump's term. And the other thing as well, because I did initially wonder, I thought, oh, is that must be good for Shein and Temu, for instance, because Shein had I think last week I said something along the lines of Shein having raised prices by something like 377% in the US because of the tariffs. So I thought, actually, is that going to relent perhaps? But I think maybe it's not going to be that great. And the other thing as well is that it's still going to be 30%, or actually, according to some reports, in the imports from China to the US, the real kind of rate is going to be about 40%. Now, that's really high. I mean, it's not as high as 145%, but it's still really high. So that's not going to, it looks like there's a bit of euphoria, there's a bit of relief at the moment, but in actual fact, it's still not going to bring a deluge. Maybe there's a bit of the pent-up demand where they've built stuff up in warehouses and stuff like that, but after that, it's not going to be. It doesn't look like it's going to be. They're going to be deluged. And the guy who was the who runs the Port of Los Angeles was saying he doesn't think that this is going to be hugely, impactful. I mean, it's better than the 145%, but he doesn't think it's going to bring things back particularly. So yeah, but I mean, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because obviously on the face of it, the fact they've got it kind of got reported they had a deal, didn't it? And that instantly made you, oh, that's good. And like I said, there was kind of a natural reaction of markets and things to that. But like I said, there's two things really holding that back, I think. One is the fact it's temporary, and in 90 days' time, change mind. whack it straight back up again. And it's always that school of thought. Oh, is it because he wants to fix, or is he targeting that 90 days and thinking what to do next? Then, like I said, 40% is still high. So you're not going to pull it down, I don't think, until that drops significantly. And I mean, back down towards where it was, Mark, rather. Because, you still go 40% is a lot better than 100. So you're still paying 40 cents on every dollar you spend, which is a huge amount. And so, they say naturally there was some reaction to it. But I think you're right. I think until something more permanent is in place, something longer than 90 days and something lower than that 40%, I don't think we have the full going back towards normal. So I think the guy from the LA Port Authority is bang on there. Like, it'll make a little difference. It's not going to be like completely more permanent. No. I don't think.
I mean, you do feel for especially smaller businesses and things, because again, there was another story that I included in today's Watson's Daily about how small companies are having to close down, they're having to cut staff, all that sort of thing. Surely to goodness, they are not going to think, rub their hands with glee and think, yeah, this is fantastic, right, we can go back on the growth track now. I would have thought that they're all still they're gonna sit on their hands. They're gonna prepare for they as the saying goes, you hope for the best but prepare for the worst. And Trump has given everyone a glimpse into what the worst would look like, and actually it will be worse if it reverts back to that, because I think that although initially everyone thought, oh, this is a nightmare, they also thought, well, it can't last very long because this is impractical. So we'll see. I mean, I know I have talked about tariffs and Trump before. I really try not to, but I couldn't help myself today because of that thing. I think obviously it comes shortly after,
isn't it? Really, we're talking about business and commercial awareness, and every headline in the top 5, I think, in all the major papers was about this. So you can't avoid it sometimes.
So I obviously this is an ongoing, it's a moving feast, as they say, and we'll just have to see. I mean, it's it comes after the I wouldn't say groundbreaking, but the deal with US UK last week, which again I thought was I mean, better than nothing, but so anyway, but Trump will definitely emphasize how amazing this is, how the fact he is the center of it, he's the instigator of it all, he is the one saving the day. At the end of the day, though, having said that, he has certainly created a stir. He has certainly made everyone feel that sense of urgency, so to get them to the negotiation table. So anyway, I'm sure that we'll see more of that. And what will be particularly interesting, I think, is to see what they do with things like really important things like technology, for instance. But anyway, so we would, obviously talking about that and the the effect that has. I think that consumers are still very wary, and they're not. Anything you look at, it seems at the moment, data points, company results. So a lot of companies are deciding that they're not going to release full year figures because they don't know what spending's going to be like. So there's a lot of that going on at the moment. And that is because people assume that consumers aren't having a great time at the moment, which then leads us very neatly to what you're going to be talking about today, because people feeling thrifty, they still want stuff. And so what do they do, Duncan?
Well, that was a beautiful segue. I love that. Absolutely beautiful segue. So obviously we're talking about kind of, smaller brands not doing so well. And I think that kind of, to get away with the 40% tariff, I think you need to have big brand clout. I think to get away with customers being willing to pay that, you need that. So we've seen a lot of smaller brands not doing so well. However, one type of maybe smaller brand that is doing quite well, and bigger brands that do this as well, are second-hand shops or stores or whatever you want to call it, depending on whereabouts in the world you are. So this is a story from the Wall Street Journal about whether we're entering the golden age of second-hand shopping. So it's just showing there's been a kind of fairly noticeable uptick in businesses that are dealing with pre-owned second-hand goods, or kind of think favourite buzzword at the moment, which is vintage goods, which I think is like second-hand but more expensive, right? From what I understand, like if you put vintage on something,
it's more. Do you know what? Do you know what? I think it's the clothing equivalent of antique.
Yes.
So if antique is to furniture, what vintage is to clothes, I think. I mean, that's a massive generalisation, but basically, it's just posh for used. So
on that note, I'm lucky they don't listen to this podcast. I don't think, but my mum the other week found a couple of old jackets in the house in a bin. And my dad about screaming across the room, "Don't you dare!" She had 2 old, like, waxed Barber jackets. But she's going, we don't use them anymore, we'll just chuck them.
Yeah.
And that's where the vintage thing comes in.
Mind you, though, actually, with Barber jackets, the older they are, the more cachet they have, don't they? And actually, there's like almost like an inverse snobbery in terms of if you see someone who is has got a brand new barber. Actually, some people, when they buy a brand new Barber, try to knacker it up on purpose initially to make it not look so new. Because I think that the sort of stereotype is you want a Barber jacket that's had, new linings, has been reproofed a number of times, the pockets are falling apart, is weirdly is a sign that obviously not that that you're not new to this, and that you are a firm kind of fan of Barber from years past. I think.
Yeah. Or so, we almost want it to look like it's done some time in the countryside, even if it hasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I say. Actually, in a way, that maybe those Barber jackets you're talking about, they actually might be worth something.
Well, they are. That's exactly right. Mum was going to check them, but Dad was going, absolutely do not. They are worth something. Like quite a decent amount. Anyway, that trend. Anyway, this is kind of a really interesting phenomenon, I think, because obviously, like you said, people like Shein and Temu are struggling at the moment because of, had to put massive price rises in, and then people, I think, are then having to weigh up: do I pay slightly more expensive for that newer, cheap item, or do I pay less for a decent second-hand item? And I think that's obviously shifting consumer trends slightly. How long it lasts for is another matter. I'm not convinced it's going to last longer than these tariff issues. I think once it becomes a decision between buying cheaper and old, cheaper and new, I think people will go back to buying cheap and new. But for the time being, it's definitely an interesting uptick, and I think any companies obviously specialising in that sort of thing, particularly anything with a vintage, I think are going to do quite well in the short term. So, what's your take on this? I thought it worked really nicely with what you talked about today anyway.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that vintage it works, and I think that it's something that of the moment. I think lots of people, because you can see it as from a number of ways. So one is the whole theme of being thrifty, because you're a consumer that is not sure about, or is probably feeling a financial pressure. Then there's the whole environmental aspect that you can lean into, which is, look, you can virtue signal successfully by, boasting about vintage. That sounds really condescending. I'm just saying that one could use that angle to say, look, Tarquin, I'm buying this not because I'm nouveau, but because I'm I'm doing this for the good of the planet, right? And you can feel,
really,
you can feel, and so you can say, you can say, I have to say, I've never known anyone in real life called Tarquin, but there are some around. But anyway, I do think that there's an element of, there's an element of that, and I think that so you could do that first of all, but after a while, the fact of the matter is that buying used is actually takes longer than than buying new, because you buy new, you go into a shop, you think my size is this, have you got that? Yes. Try it on. Great. Thanks very much. Bye. You know, on if you're vintage shopping, then you have to have a lot of time. You have to go in. You have to see stuff. You think, oh, does that fit me? And everything is all over the place. It's not like they've got loads of stuff like in different chest sizes or lengths of trouser or whatever. You've just got to see what they have on there and does it fit you. By the way, I don't buy vintage mainly because I'm a weird shape. Hats are no good because I have a melon head. Nothing fits my torso and I've got short legs, so I'm painting a pretty amazing picture of myself here. But I just say that I think for people that are of average builds and average height and stuff, it's probably pretty good. But someone like me, it's a nightmare, and it's just not worth doing. It's just not worth doing. But it's good for people that can do it. Is what I'm saying. But yeah, are you a vintage fan?
I've got a similar issue. I've got, for my height, because I'm quite tall, I've got very short legs for my height, which means I've got an obnoxiously long torso.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just
what
under
does that do then? So what does that do then? So you're sitting down. So if you're sitting down, let's say in a pub, right? So you're sitting down in a pub, and then as you get up, is everyone really, because what you might like, your head height versus the person next to you would be different, wouldn't it? And then you get up, and do you have issues then? Do they sort of say, "Oh, you're not quite as tall as I thought you were," or something? I don't know. You are tall. I met you.
I'm glad I'm not in proportion. I think if my legs were in proportion, I'll be about 6'9" or something daft. So
right. Okay.
6'4" tall enough. It does mean that if I buy what people consider a normal length T-shirt, it looks a bit like a crop top.
Yeah.
So I've got the same issue.
Right. Yeah. I have a problem with T-shirts myself. Actually, it's got to take into account the circumference of the man gut that has grown over the years. They got to take into account the curvature. But anyway,
yeah. So you meant CrossFit, not.
Yeah. That's it. That's the one. So anyway, yeah. So I think that I think it will work for the time being. Yeah, you could say, look, I'm saving the planet, and look, we're all finding it expensive at the moment. But I think once things turn around, once the economy turns around, I think people are going to be back on the new stuff. I don't think that they're going to go, do you know what? I've enjoyed spending all this time buying vintage stuff. I'm going to keep doing it. There will be some people, but I don't think it will last long. I think people are then going to go back to, they're going to break themselves back in on and have a Temu or Shein haul, and then after maybe a bit of TK Maxx, and then they're back on the then they're back on the other stuff then. So yeah,
that's a fun shop to go to if you've got no idea what you want to buy. I just want to buy something. I don't know what it is. Let's just walk in and see what they've got today. Let's see what.
Because you just don't know.
That's why I love it.
Yeah. That's the thing, isn't it? You go in, you think, well, I'd like a T-shirt. That's pretty much as that's what you can do, because you can't be more specific. But at least there, that they will probably have a few different sizes and stuff. But yeah. So anyway, yeah, I think it's an interesting thing. I think that the used thing is good. And the other fascinating thing about used, of course, is that it does not, it's tariff agnostic, because you're not buying it from outside. It gets kind of allocated to you, and the tax. So that I think that if there are any taxes, the impact is going to be very low. So it is good. It is good like that, which is why you've had companies like TK Maxx, doing quite well from current circumstances. I imagine that Facebook Marketplace, eBay, that sort of thing. I would have thought that they can also benefit from that sort of thing as well.
Definitely.
But yeah, so do you have any further thoughts on that, or any further shopping tips at all?
I mean, don't take shopping tips from me. Look at what I'm currently wearing. You can't take shopping tips from someone that wears a vest top to do to do a podcast. All I'm gonna
It's a
say.
strong
I
look.
keep forgetting every time we do this.
It's
It's
a strong
video
look.
now as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's a strong look.
It's a strong look.
So anyway, no.
With an electrical socket and
No.
yeah.
Anyway, no, it's all good. It's all good. It's what's inside that counts, Duncan. But anyway,
Okay.
I think no. It's no. It's all good. It's all good. Right. Okay. So that's just really basically trying to get people who are listening to this to actually go. Do you know what? Actually, I've got to watch this. That's what that is all about. It's trying to hook them in, get them to, yeah. Anyway, thank you very much indeed for your thoughts today and shopping tips, etc. And no problem at all. And we will be back tomorrow. On just to let people know that on Thursday, I'm not going to be doing Watson's Daily, I don't think, because I'm going to London for the whole day for a conference thing. So I'm gonna, but yeah, we will definitely be here tomorrow. So thank you very much indeed. Have a great day, whatever you're doing, and we'll be back tomorrow. Many thanks.
Thanks a lot, Peter.
Bye.